I'm being bullied, and the freaks who are doing it are threatening to come to my house. I begged them not to. They don't understand. I'm the only remotely normal person in my family. My dad's a serial killer, my mom's a total psycho, my brother's a sociopath, and me? I'm just trying to survive. I dragged myself home feeling like I was carrying the weight of the world. My dad answered the door. He was wearing an apron and had this sickeningly sweet smile plastered on his face. Hey, sweetie, I made you some after-school snacks. His smile widened. It sent shivers down my spine. His apron was covered in bloodstains. Fresh bloodstains. Clearly, it had just been splattered there. Dad followed my horrified gaze and chuckled. Oops, I got the apron dirty again. Your mom's gonna kill me. I nervously took off my shoes and stepped inside. There was a young woman tied to a chair. Her hair was a mess. Her face was covered in blood and her lips were sewn shut. She saw me and started making these desperate, muffled noises, her eyes pleading for help. I flinched and looked away. This lady, Dad said in this gentle voice, she abandoned her daughter, who wasn't even 5 years old, to go fool around with some guy. That poor kid got run over. A bloody mess. Can you imagine how much she suffered? I sat on the couch, stiff as a board, trying not to look at the woman. A few seconds later, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the air. It went on for what felt like forever, before finally fading away. Dad took off his glasses, wiped the blood off the lenses, and smiled at me. Honey, I'm gonna cut this lady up into little pieces now, so it might be a little gross. Why don't you go to your room? I practically sprinted to my room. I heard Dad sigh behind me. He muttered, I don't know why she isn't more like us. I was shaking like a leaf. My whole body was covered in cold sweat. This wasn't the first time I'd seen Dad kill someone. The first time he did it in front of me, I was 5. He sliced a guy's throat open while I watched. He said the guy had abused his wife for years, driven her to suicide, and he hadn't faced any consequences, so Dad was taking care of it. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down, but what really had me on edge was tomorrow night. Those jerks who were always bullying me were coming to my house. Just thinking about their faces made my stomach cramp. I begged them not to come, but they just grabbed my hair, slapped me around, and laughed, saying they wanted to see what kind of freak show raised a loser like me. They have no idea. Nobody who's ever come to my house has ever left alive. The doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there was my mom. She has this really innocent, pretty face, but I know how messed up she is. Mom smiled at me. Take off your clothes. Mom, I pleaded. But I did what she said, and I started to shake as I took my clothes off, revealing all the scars and bruises on my body. Who did this? Her smile got wider. I knew she was furious. When she gets angry, she does terrible things. When I was 5, some kid in kindergarten pulled a chunk of my hair out. The next day, he disappeared. The news said he accidentally fell from the roof, but I knew that the candy he was clutching in his hand when he died was the kind Mom always bought for me. In elementary school, my teacher thought I was from a poor family and was always making snide remarks about me. Even though I did chores with the other kids, she always gave me the dirtiest, hardest jobs. She laughed when I tripped carrying a heavy bucket of water in the bathroom. I didn't tell my family. I hated the teacher, but I didn't want my family doing something bad. But Mom found out. Soon after, I heard on the news that the teacher had died. She was jumped and assaulted by some gang members while she was walking home at night. Her arms and legs were broken. When I saw the pictures of those guys, my blood ran cold. I'd seen Mom talking and laughing with them near our house. Mom's cold fingers traced one of my bruises. I snapped back to reality and shivered. Mom sighed softly. Sometimes I really wonder if you're my kid. I stared at her, not saying a word. I knew I wasn't her real kid. I've always been a softie, and I cry way too easily. I remember when my cat got out when I opened the door. When we found it, it had been tortured. One of its legs had been sawed off and one of its eyes had been gouged out. I was sobbing. My brother saw me. He said, "You don't want it to suffer anymore, do you?" I nodded through my tears.